Hi, today we're going to talk about therapeutic parenting, and we're not going to use any acronyms, we're not going to use anybody else's research, we're just going to talk basic. What is therapeutic parenting and why is it such a buzzword at the moment? Well, it's such a buzzword because there needs to be a way of trying to help children work their way through their trauma, and therapeutic parenting is obviously one of the ways to do that. But actually, therapeutic parenting isn't a thing, it's a way of being. And so that's my first point for you. Therapeutic parenting is a way of being. There's no such thing as an expert at therapeutic parenting other than you and your child. So it's very easy to get sucked into having lots of ideas and reading a lot around it. But the reality is when the child comes to you for the first time, you're going to start a process of learning how to therapeutically parent. Because if a child's come with a level of trauma and your motivation is to try and help them or heal them, then you are a therapeutic parent. And so we've got to look at this positively, that anybody can do it if they want to do it. So it's a way of being. My second point for you is it's a very personal journey. So some things work for some children and some things don't work for some children. There isn't a one size fits all. We like to think there is. We like to think that we can read a book and that we know how to therapeutically parent, but the reality is every child is different. And so I want you to think of this as your journey and your way of experimenting with ideas, your way of helping your child to heal, not somebody else's way. And so see it as a personal thing. In order to do this, you've got to enter into their world. This doesn't mean that you have to understand everything, but you've got to try to aim to enter into their world. You've got to try and think about what they've come from, what might be their current triggers, what might be their issues and problems in the future. So basically, you're going to try and step into their shoes. And this is where it's very different from methods of parenting in the past, where literally what the parent says goes, and it's the parent's world. It's all about the parent. And I think this is the shift in thinking. Therapeutic parenting is about understanding the child and their child's needs. However, in my view, it's not the child's needs in isolation, it's yours as well. To therapeutically parent, you have to look at what your needs are as well to be able to do that. You can't do it just by putting yourself in their shoes, because that can be overly draining and exhausting. You have to look at what you both need together to make this work. Now, the way that you're going to help them by putting yourself in their shoes, and you're going to help yourself too, is by providing really good boundaries, really good memories, really good routines. It's about a little bit of everything. Now think of this as like a sweet wrapper going around the outside to protect the whole kind of family unit. You need to provide things that makes your child feel safe, and this is the regular things. Sometimes it's the fun things, sometimes it's the happy memories. There's a little bit everything thrown in there. Basically, it's family life, and this is why it's personal, because it's personal to your family, how you're going to work out what works out for you and your family and what works out for the child, and bring that all together like a security blanket around the child that you're dealing with trauma. Now, I believe in order to do all this, you do need to ask the child questions at times, not always, but sometimes I think we're afraid to do that. Well, I personally think this is where the curiosity comes in the Dan Hughes Pace Parenting, of which there are videos on my channel that you can find. I do think we have to ask questions. I do think that if a child does something outrageously difficult in the family household, suddenly they do something kind of quite irrational, you might not want to ask them there and then, of course, especially if they're in a rage, but I do believe that you can ask them. I believe children can tell you what's wrong. I believe we don't ask children enough. I think the difficult questions need to be asked through therapeutic parenting, and this is one of the key things that is different from normal parenting, that actually we do ask the questions of our children. We do say to them, is there a reason for this today? Why is this different today and this didn't happen the other day? And we can get to the bottom of it sometimes when our children are ready to tell us. They will. And so I believe in asking questions. Once we have the answer to some of those questions and we work out some of the triggers and anxieties, and we're beginning to get on to know our children better and build a really good relationship, this is the time to then reconfigure what those routines and boundaries are and move the goalposts a little bit, change what we're doing. And this is why it's therapeutic, because when you go for therapy, it's not a straight trajectory where we go for therapy and then we just get better and better and better and happier and happier and happier. Life is bumpy and therapy is bumpy, and so if something doesn't work the first time round, we can change it. If we think that we've tried something that somebody else suggested and it doesn't work, we can change it, because it's personal to us and the child, and we know that the child the best. And so we then recreate our therapeutic healing program by putting extra things in place to help us and changing up our routines and changing up our boundaries. Now, I hope this helps to unpick the mystified therapeutic parenting phrase, and I hope you'll subscribe to my channel if you think this type of information is useful to you, and I look forward to seeing you on my other videos. Thank you.